with the black guy, it's my responsibility to know there's some things might go down if we're to get pulled over.
Right.
I have to understand what he might be going through. I can't think, oh, this is like I'm dating a white guy. You can't. And the girls who take it at, whoa, I'm just dating a black guy just for the fad of it, you're gonna find it that that's not gonna last very long when things get real.
All right, so episode number 2. This episode is about interracial relationships.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to first introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm James Leon. I'm an actor and a barista here in Los Angeles. And I just moved here last March from Florida.
Okay, and do you want to first talk about finding how we met?
Yeah. So it was funny. I was doing my pool at Starbucks, just getting all the pastries and stuff like that. And then you came in and, I'm just like, this, average white lady coming into the Starbucks wanting to get her, tall, flat white or something fancy. And she walks in and then, but you had this energy about you that I felt and I sensed. I was like, I'll take this customer. And so I rang you up and I'm not sure what's spring started our conversation, but we sat there and talked for like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes about we were talking about first about like movies and all this other stuff, then about like relationships and about like the life experience of a black man in America and just like your story about your family. And it kind of got me drawn in and invested in, like, I had to do this pool. Like I had to get my people out of the store, but I'm so into what you're telling me in your story that I was just like, that has to wait because this is so much more exhilarating. This is like things that I came here to do and stories I just love hearing and stories that that inspire me. So, we got trapped in a conversation and it was really beautiful. It's really beautiful how unexpected it was. I mean, it's just a normal day.
Right.
But like I told you, like no accidents, no mistakes ever. And it just was so heartfelt to hear the passion in your voice about this topic. And quite frankly, I've never met a white woman at your age who actually like gives a crap about shit like that. Honestly, I honestly haven't met. It's always been like, oh, that's it sucks being black in America, and then that's it.
Right.
And then and I've just came to accept that's just how it is. And then I kind of think you walking in was like, wow, there's people like this in this world.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but I will step in and say it was that when you asked for my name and then you said Miss Jana, and I was like, oh no, where are you from in the South? I think, and that's how the whole thing started.
Oh yeah, because I said Miss, from the South. So we always say Miss and Ma'am and stuff. So
so
okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's how it got going. So now that we're letting people know how we, met.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to ask, since I wrote down a few questions. So one of the first questions is, since we are talking about obviously interracial relationships, I'm just going to be bold. Do you have a preference of the type of woman you date?
I will say that I grew up in a mostly Caucasian area. Mm-hmm. So I've always dated white women.
Okay.
Maybe a few Spanish women, some that'll come into town. But I've always dated white women. And I say that because, just so I'm going to be bold as well, black women perceived me as, it's this thing where they feel like they call me like, you're so white.
Okay.
Like because I enunciate words, I dress differently, and I wasn't the stereotypical black man. I just wasn't. So black women wouldn't be drawn to me. And I don't know. It's been my whole life like that. My whole life, it's always been black women are just like, oh, he's so proper and he's so like he's so energetic. And that's not something you see from a black man from the South. Because I'm from the South. Right. Black men from the South are just like, talk like this and like got slang to him. You feel me? Like, that's how they talk. So me, I'm just like, hey, like, what's up? Like, like, how are you today, ma'am and miss? And I'm like very respectful. So it's always been white women that kind of were like, oh, well, he's cool, let's date. And then it's always been white women.
So, okay, so with that said, do you feel that since you date white women, that when you're in the relationship with them, do you feel that you have to educate them where there might be situations where people make comments or give you looks or assume certain things, that you have to kind of keep them educated in a certain perspective to understand? I just know from my experience when I was with my ex, 33 years ago, I was clueless. Now, my difference is he was the first black man I ever dated and was engaged to, and my son's father. Yeah. So for me, I only dated within my race and religion, and it was no disrespect. It just, that's how I was raised. So he just came at me like, I want to get to know you and date you, and I'm like, I can't. You're not, white and Jewish and blah blah blah. So it really took me back, and again, I was in my early 20s, and it just happened in time. He just was persistent, would not give up, and we worked together. So it just organically ended up happening. But there were so many things that I had no clue that he not only taught me, that I saw from people firsthand that I grew up. So now back to you. These experiences with and having a white girlfriend, what we talked about before, I know you mentioned there were situations, but did they have your back? Were they understanding? Did they listen to you? Did you educate them that they understood? Or
I would say it was multiple experiences. Some white women I dated black men before, and I already knew when we go into public, we're gonna get eyes. It's gonna be like super peculiar to see, white girl, blonde hair, brown hair with a black man. Now it's becoming more of a norm nowadays, but still, it's still something that people are not kind of acclimated or adjusted to. On the flip side, I've dated white girls who I was kind of like their first black guy they've been with, and they just they were so naive, not naive, I don't want to say naive, but they weren't aware of certain things, and I couldn't be upset with them, but I'm just like, baby, you got to understand, like, this is the reason why we go to this store, why this person's like this associate's following me, or like following, like, you know what I mean? And and there's like, no, like they're just wanting to make sure everything's okay, and it's stuff like that where it's like kind of irritating, like, no, baby, like, you just don't know. And then that's the part where you have to educate them and say, listen, this is how I'm perceived in this world. I can have as many master's degrees. When I walk into a room, people's perception of me has already been made like that. This is a black man, and there's people's own connotation to that, how they connect to that. And I have to deal with that. And they just would be like, no, you're just like everyone else. They have this like fantasy of like, oh no, everyone's equal. And it's like, we're trying to get there, but we're just not there yet. And you got to understand that. And I've had multiple relationships where they weren't ready for that. It was too much for them. It was too much for them to see that. And it's kind of like on my end being like, I'm 22. So it's like, how do I haven't experienced life yet, but I have to sit here and like tell girls that I'm dating about this stuff. It's like, I don't want to, but I have to.
Do you feel that some of these girls also should have tried to educate themselves more, or put themselves, I can't say put themselves in your shoes, because you can't. Yeah. And I agree with you, it is a mindset, and I literally have a motto, change the mindset, change the perspective. Yeah. But do you feel also that these girls, that there's a trust, that they'd have your back, that would understand if you're put in a situation, they know how to handle it, not to escalate it, or not? I mean, I know I've been in a few situations with my ex where getting pulled over for no reason, and Jay just looks at me like, do not say we're together. And I didn't even question it. I just listened, and I sat there when the cops came up and asked if I was fine, and I'm like, yes, and because I just knew I had to trust what he wanted me to do to not only save himself, but to save me.
Of course.
To not be in a situation that would make things more detrimental in every capacity. Yeah. So do you feel that you have that backup and that support from girls that you have dated, or do you think they're just naive? Because kind of what I see now with the younger generation is I just feel like some white girls think, oh, it's cool to be with the black guy.
That's it. Right
and
there.
my thing is, no, but there's still a responsibility.
Yeah, see there. I mean, you've nipped that. That is the issue right there. It's more of a fad to be with a black guy. It's more of a, oh, girls, like, I'm with a black guy. Like, I hook up with a black guy. And they just take it that surface level, but they don't really see, okay, I'm with a black guy. It's my responsibility to know there's some things might go down if we're to get pulled over.
Right.
I have to understand what he might be going through. I can't think, oh, this is like I'm dating a white guy. You can't. And the girls who take it at, whoa, I'm just dating a black guy just for the fad of it, they're going to find it that's not going to last very long when things get real. Mm-hmm. When it comes to, oh, mom and dad, here's my boyfriend, and a black guy walks through the door. Because then they're going to be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, you know?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
My ex couldn't even walk through our front door.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's not, you know, it's really becoming a fad where it's just like, you know, oh, I'm just dating this black guy and it's cool for them. It's not, they don't look at it deeper like this is like a responsibility for me to learn.
Okay, so my next question, if you feel that some of these girls think it's a fad or cool, or I always sometimes say they're wannabes.
Yeah.
You as a black man, and I'll say other young black men or even middle-aged black men, why wouldn't you then just cut it off? Like, are you also putting yourself in a situation where I'll just get what I can and then forget it and move on? I mean, so I guess it's a give and take too.
It is oh man. I mean, that's so true. I mean, it's really so true. So to that, I'd say, I know for me, I'd try it. I'd say, well, let me see if Ashley or Brittany can, let's see if they can keep up. Let's see if they can sort of, if I can really see what their intentions are. Okay. And I'd see most of the time just naturally it fall off because their intentions weren't good in the first place. So it'll dissipate on its own. One girl in particular that wasn't like that was my ex-girlfriend of 3 years, Morgan. Uh-huh. Now she was in it. She reminds me a lot of like your attitude because I know I follow you on Instagram and like how passionate you are about this. She was like, you remind me like when you post it reminds me of her because she was so invested in learning too. She was so like what do I need to do for you? Like if we go and if a cop stops you, we had an incident with a cop stopped me and I said, do not say anything, just let me talk. She was like it's like she just automatically knew. And she shown me the standard of what I should keep my relationships at. Mm-hmm. And it's that standard of understanding and educating yourself to know I'm dating a black man. What's his history? You know, are you still close with your dad? You know, because a lot of times we're not. I'm not close with my dad. And she just asked me these questions and I'd just be so mesmerized by how interested she was into knowing my life like that. Okay,
so talking about something like that, because again, I just brushed quickly on what happened with my family, where my, especially my father just, was not happy and was disowned. And although he came back, especially when my son was born and so on and so forth, I always felt that he maybe indirectly punished me to the day he died. Yeah. Which I have to live with.
I'm so sorry about that.
And it's okay. And I have to live with it and I accepted it. Yeah. But I was very close with him growing up. Yeah. He was an amazing dad. I just made a choice of falling for a man of a different race and religion. And it wasn't like I looked for it. Because again, I never dated anyone outside of my race or religion. Yeah. So, and I think that was part of what intrigued my ex, because he thought of me as the little Jewish sheltered princess that I had no clue. Yeah. But I think one thing that he liked was that I listened to him. I tried to understand. I understood, and he knew that I was down for him. Like I had his back.
Wow, and I love that.
And for me, I never even knew it when I was going through it. And I think as time went on, I understood more. But at that time, he was a good I grew up. I really grew up because I really was a sheltered person.
Yeah.
On every capacity, knowing people of a different race, a different religion, economic. I grew up very sheltered and privileged. So to understand that was also an eye-opener. And, and to me, he was an amazing man. I lived with his mom for a while. She was the richest woman I ever knew. But the poorest people, monetary that I knew.
Yeah.
But that was another thing that I learned. So with that said, how did, let's say your mom or your family, do they look at you and say, why are you only dating white women? Or have you had this conversation, or they just want you to be happy?
So my father never really got close.
Okay.
He never asked me questions about women. I know him, but I don't really know my dad. I know he exists. I know he's a person, but I don't know him like that. So, that's that side. But my mom, me and my mom that's my everything. I'm a mama's boy. I'd say that till I die. She never, it was always about, is she treating my baby boy right? She'd make slick remarks like, oh, why don't you ever date a sister? She'd say slick stuff like that, but she was and I love the word that you said about rich. She never had much. She was very rich. She gave me so much to take on, which is why that's why I'm here in California, by living on my own, and I'm okay. And she just showed me so much about life and so much about accepting people and to just being open, that she was so rich. And it was never about who I brought home, about what they look like, but it's about what value did they bring to me. Because she's always turned that eye towards me and like, is my son gonna be okay? And she just always made sure, is she treating you right? Does she love you? Does she, can she cook for you? And I was like, Mom, nobody gonna cook for me like you, but just know, she can make a little something. And it was those values that really carried me just through everything, about just not looking at color. So no, she never really cared.
Okay, so my next question, because you had mentioned that you're from the South. Yeah. So do you see a difference between there and living here and dating, I'll say, a white woman, let's say here, versus there? Yeah.
Here, they're a little bit more oblivious here. I'm guessing because there's prejudices, I don't know how to say it, everywhere. But here, they're a little bit more like not knowing. They don't know about the certain things. I don't know how to explain it. In the South, we're kind of faced with it a little bit more. Okay. So the white woman there would know a little bit more. They'd know the lingo of dating a black man. Here, not so much.
Do you think here it's more in the closet? In the closet,
exactly.
Because I find once I moved back here with my son when he was 2 from Toronto, we dealt with a lot. I've dealt with a lot of racism, or looks or comments.
Oh, I can imagine.
And I know part of it was because, especially years ago, it's the stereotype, black men, was with a white woman, most likely they were trailer park trash. Yeah. Or if it was an athlete or celebrity, then that's why they were with them. Yeah. But, I remember when I started dating my ex, and everyone's like, well, what does he do? And I explained, and he's college educated, but he wasn't some celebrity or athlete or someone, and so they were like,
I bet you would get, so to your point, I bet you'd get like an interrogation almost as to why you're dating a black guy, right? Like I would assume like they'd be like, oh, so what does this guy do? Why are you with them and stuff like that, right?
Oh, there was definitely a lot of that. I remember an old friend of mine, I won't say his name because he's in the film business now, at one point had said to me, you could have dated almost any Jewish man, and why would you be with a black man? And I said, your comment right there gives you the answer. So I also learned a lot about even, I'll say, my people. Yeah. Ones that chose to walk away, ones that chose to be supportive.
Yeah.
And I'll say balanced out. I've even had friends recently with the whole riots I had people unfriend me on Facebook when the whole Black Lives Matter, and I was completely behind it.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm a proud Jew, like hands down, you've seen my posts.
Yeah.
I will bat for my people, believe.
Yeah.
But it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And now I've had people friend me again and apologize for not understanding. Yeah. And I'm the Jewish woman. I'm not a Black woman.
Yeah.
And but I always said I don't know why people can't try to be more, not even sympathetic, just have some empathy towards other people's plight.
Of course.
Because we've all had it. But I'm just trying to figure out how can interracial relationships be more responsible? Because when we first met, and I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, oh my God, mine was 33 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s, and I'm like, why is it still going on now?
Yeah, it's still going on now.
And that's what's sad.
That's what's so sad. Like I can't tell you the amount of times I walked into a girl that I've dated. The amount of times I walked into her house and when they see me, they're like, and I know it's because whoa, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're gonna ask her daughter, oh, what color is he? Or they'd probably show them a picture. But when she brings me to their house, they're just,
right. They're like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and even the father. The one thing that I know the father does is he's very just polite, but in a like he really doesn't want this to happen, and I just know it. I've dealt with that a lot. The fathers are just like, they do not want their daughters to date a Black man.
Well, I think part of it too is their own ego. I always felt with my father, because he even said at me at one point, why would you do this to me? And I'm like, it's not about you. Yeah. And he's like, but I'm your father. And I think he took it personally, like a lot of, I think, fathers may feel that their daughter should date someone like them. Now, ironically, my ex ended up being very similar to my father. They may not have looked the same and had a different belief in religion, but their actions pretty much were the same in the end run. So, and maybe that was one of the things that intrigued me at the beginning, that he was somewhat like my father on that level. But so I see that now. I will ask you, because I remember this was one conversation I had with my dad, because I remember saying to him, like, are you racist? Mm-hmm. And his attitude was more, felt he wasn't. His thing was, Black people have it difficult. Why would you fall for a man that would have a difficult life? Therefore, you're going to have a difficult life. Yeah. Mm. So do you think that some people really, look, I believe hands down there are obviously there's still racism big time, but do you think sometimes like they're looking at it like, I just don't want my daughter to go through difficult?
Yeah, I mean, I have to always look at both sides of it. And the harsh truth about it is that he's not entirely wrong. A father always wants what's best for his wife or his kids, and I gotta look at it that way. And he's right. He wants you to be in a good position, and I think that's where he was coming from. And the stigma about Black people, and it's true, like socioeconomically, we are not the best. We're not. It's just a fact, and it sucks.
Yeah, but okay, but we can look at it that way. We already know in history that socially, economically, Black people things were taken away, or were not given the same opportunity. So the reality is, it's kind of like, here, I'll give it to you, but then they have, a rope tied around their waist, pulling them back to say, we're giving it to you, but we're not really. Yeah,
but the thing about that is, like in your father's situation, he's not gonna go back in history and see that. Right. It's just gonna be, what is it right now? And
so my thing is now, okay, again, for me, it's been 33 years. Yeah. And ironically, I'll say I've been, I'll say Black family or friends more in my life now in my years than not. So I guess what can you guys do going forward? It has, at this point, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not planning to have, obviously, I'm not going to have other kids and this and that. So I'm just looking about for the future of young people.
Yeah.
And especially my son. And what can you guys do going forward? Because it does bother me when I see irresponsible relationships, and like you said at the beginning, where it's just, oh, it's cool now to be, so it's a fad, and like it bothers me because this is something you're not supposed to mess and play with.
Yeah. So I think moving forward, I mean, I know right now where I am is that I'm just really focused on me getting better as a person financially. Going to acting classes, becoming a better actor, and getting my name out there, and just working on James. And more so on the relationship side, I'm really not looking to just date women with just the intentions of like just for sex. I'm really looking for someone who's down for me, like you said, that's down. And I know moving forward, I'm really gonna take my time, and and obviously I am young, but I really want to take my time to get to know people and get to know this person. Like, could you sit down and we can talk about dating, like this elephant in the room. It's an elephant. It's like, can we talk about it? And I'm looking for someone that's willing to say, let's talk about it. Like, I'm into you, James. Let's talk about it. I cannot anymore just say, hey, I'm just gonna date you. Forget about that. This is interracial and that people are gonna look at, like, just throw it to the side. Because if I do that, then nothing ever gets solved. There's no interracial relationships that have that understanding. The more interracial relationships that are based on fads and trends, the more it corrupts what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Seriously though, and that's what it's gonna do. And I think young black men have to realize you have to get those girls out. You gotta peep. You have to peep them out from a mile away and say, no, you have another agenda.
Right.
And I gotta put my time into someone who wants to learn about what it means, the responsibility of this relationship.
Right. Well, because it comes down to feelings.
Yeah.
We all have hearts. We all get hurt. It's feelings, and like you said, the repercussions. Could be really detrimental. And it's why waste your time on someone that's not worthy to waste your time for, especially when it comes to educating and how society is. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to?
The only thing I want to say is I really just, I appreciate the universe and everything of just you coming to my store and me being there at that specific time to be here to tell this story. I mean, that's something that's so, simple, but it's like I was there at that time for this to happen, to talk about something so important and to help spread what you're doing because you're so passionate about it, and it makes me passionate about it, and it makes me look at it differently now. And I just, I'm just thankful that happened, and that allowed me to just be like, wow, I never really thought of it that way, and it's just, I'm just super, super blessed to have met you, and and you just being so passionate about this, because like I said, I've never met someone like you. Okay,
now I'm a little nervous. Like,
no, I've never, I never met it. Like, I'm like, what, like when you were talking, I was like,
I'm passionate because I will never change my life, and I don't want to get into it and start to cry because my son knows how emotional I'll get. I would not change for the world, but I've had with him difficult times. Oh man, I can imagine. And again, but it made me the person I am today. Yeah. As I tell my son, he made me a better person. Yeah. Even his father, when I was younger, made me a better person because I now understood and got educated on things that I had no idea. Because I was sheltered, I was spoiled, things were handed to me. Yes, I worked when I was 16, but I got my car. I had two parents. I never had to worry, would there be food on the table? The bills were paid. We traveled. As I told you, my father was in the film industry, so he'd go make movies. We'd go with him. I didn't know anything else. Yeah. So I had I had a difficult time being a single mom, but it was a rich, worthy time. And that's why now it's back to being responsible. I feel like saying to people of black men, black women, white women, know what you're doing. You have to be a strong person to be into an interracial. That was one of the issues when my ex and I split. We were engaged, and there was just a lot of things that went on. And eventually, 16 years later, when my son was 16, we actually sat down and talked, and he just said, I just, when all said and done, I couldn't handle the whole really black and white and Jewish thing. And I was just like, wow. Now, I grew up because I had to raise my son. And it just made me realize that there are people that really can't or don't want to understand. I've had people that, even kids, that's going to be another episode of interracial children, where kids were like, that are interracial, that the parents just blew off trying to understand how people, and they were like, I wish I had a mom like you, only because she would discuss it. It wasn't blown, like, just let things happen the way they happen. And again, so that's a whole other issue. And trust me, I have other episodes that of even social issues in general. But I
mean, I can imagine with some of the things like this is a deep subject, because I can only imagine what you went through raising a, what society would perceive as an African American child.
Yes.
Like, really, that's what it's, and how your son, how he had to kind of figure this thing of this being black and white, figuring that out, and oh man,
well, it wasn't even when he was growing up, and even like junior high, elementary, they always said, like, so what are you? And it was like, pick. And it's not up to pick.
That's just...
So these are just the things that people should be proud of, literally everything they are. That's how I look at it. Like, just be proud of everything you are. And I just don't want people to, like, throw it at other people to say, well, you have to be this or that. Or, you can't be both. You can't be... And again, so it comes back to being responsible before they get to the point, let's say, in having a kid, to understand each other and respect and know that if something goes down, okay, I already know or was told this scenario, so this is what I'm going to do so it doesn't escalate for me or my guy type of thing. And so anyway, so this is just one of the reasons why, like I said, when we started talking, and I thought this would be a great episode to discuss.
Yeah, and also black men, young black men, God, I hate to see this all the time, but every single interracial relationship I've seen, the woman and the original dad and mom are not together. Mm-hmm. I've yet to come across an interracial marriage where they stuck together, had the kid, and they're still together. Which is why on our end, as black men, we have to understand, because it's usually the black men who can't handle it and leave. Mm-hmm. That's usually what happens. And we have to understand this whole thing ourselves, because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, damn, I've never seen like a black and white woman walking down the street happily with their kid in the stroller, having a conversation. I've never seen that.
I've seen it a few times, and my son has a friend that we just talked about that come from parents are still together. But it comes down to them understanding and being responsible.
Of course.
Because then they've got these kids. So I get it. And I've always taught my son, and I think as he's getting older now, he sees it. Better to be with one parent and be loved than live in a household with two parents that are unloving. Yeah. And look, I always said to my son, I mean, I never believed in the conventional, I wasn't going to get married and have like the 2-3 kids in my minivan and my 2 vacations and stayed home. I mean, I was engaged a few times, and one guy even said to me, you can go be a designer, but you better make sure you're home at 5 o'clock to cook me dinner. And I'm like, well, do I need to be barefoot and pregnant too? So I always knew that was not me. Yeah. I mean, I still believe in marriage, trust me. But it wasn't me to have that typical marriage, if it was a loveless home.
Yeah.
So all I know is I gave my son love. I showed him love. He knows I love him. Yeah. And if he ever has issues, he can blame me because all he had was me. So, but these are it comes back to being responsible in a situation because couples are tough anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway. All right, well, I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it was
so
nice
much.
meeting you.
Yes.
I want to thank you. And you're right. Sometimes things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And it happened. Timing and everything. And so I'm grateful that you said yes and that we did this.
Yeah, I'm grateful as well. Thank you guys.
So let everyone know, like you said, you just moved here last March.
Yeah.
You said that you're getting into acting.
Yeah.
Tell people what you've been doing and what you're planning to do moving forward.
All right, so I moved here last March, and I wanted to pursue the entertainment industry. I wanted to be an actor, and I graduated with my BS in biology. I was supposed to go to med school, so a lot of times I say I was supposed to be a doctor, but my heart and my mom was like, no, you want to do it, go after it. So I came here last March, and I got a manager now, and I'm just auditioning, and I really one role that I'm going after right now is a Black Superman. Warner Brothers is currently looking for like a director and an actor to do this film. Not to just put myself, I just want to do this, but it's something that, I've always wanted to be a hero. I always wanted to just save people and live that role out in real life and be a Superman in real life. So right now I'm, currently just working out to get my name out there and to show these people who I am, because I want to be at least in consideration, like, wow, this guy exists, because when I heard about it, I was just like, wow, this is something I know I can do. I'm just constantly working at getting better at acting and being a better actor and being a better entertainer and really putting in the work. I think for me, it's always been about putting in the work, and I'm not in it to just try to, manipulate people or try to get things out of people for my own benefit. I just want to be good at what I do.
You love the craft.
I love the craft, yeah, and I just want to be good at what I do and get it from hard work and not these other stories that I hear about some people going to parties and doing all this other stuff. I just want to work. I want to spread positivity. I just want to uplift others, and I want to one day be of influence to millions of other kids of color, that you can come out here at 21 and chase your dreams and come out of it victorious and really be, someone that people know. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt it will happen for you. You're definitely in the right way doing it, moving forward, and that's what's important. And you have to live your passion.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, thank you.
Thank you.
And episode 2.
Episode 2.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Guys.